I did something with her body. I didn't want to. And then she got pregnant, a real infidelity story. What happens when guilt finds its way into your bones? So deep you feel it when you breathe. It wasn't supposed to go that far. She was just a friend. Someone I confided in during a rough patch. But that night, God, that night, I did something with her body I didn't even want to do. I told myself I was lost, vulnerable, broken. But that's not an excuse. Not when a pregnancy test turns pink and a young woman stares at you, terrified, saying, "It's yours." This is the story of how one mistake broke 3 hearts, including mine. My name is Zayan. I'm 34, married, and until about a year ago, I believed I was a decent man. My wife, Alina, and I had been together for nearly a decade. We built our life from scratch. Tiny apartment, shared takeout meals, Netflix marathons under one warm blanket. We had no children yet. That was the plan. 1 more year, we kept saying. But something shifted. Alina changed. No, we changed. She grew distant, obsessed with work, numb to affection. I tried to talk to her, but every conversation ended in silence. Or worse, polite detachment. That's when I met Amani. She was 22, a graphic design intern at my firm. Bright-eyed, passionate, and full of life in a way I had forgotten life could be. She laughed with her whole face. She asked about my day. She noticed when I got a haircut, something Alina hadn't done in months. Amani and I became close, too close. It wasn't physical, not at first. Just coffee breaks, inside jokes, long messages exchanged at odd hours. It felt harmless until it didn't. One rainy night, Amani called me in tears. Her brother had thrown her out after a fight. She had nowhere to go. I didn't think, I just drove. I picked her up and brought her to my old studio apartment, now used for storage. She was soaking wet. I handed her a towel. We sat in silence as she sipped tea from a chipped mug. Then she looked at me with those eyes, vulnerable, questioning, grateful. She reached out. I should have stopped her. I didn't. What happened next? I can't even describe as passion. It was awkward, rushed. I kept hearing Alina's voice in my head. I wanted to stop. I even said, "This isn't right." Amani paused, but she didn't let go. Neither did I. The next morning, guilt came in waves. Amani was curled up on the old mattress, hair spilling across the pillow like ink. She looked peaceful. And I felt like a monster. I left without saying much. "Just a week. Text me when you're okay." She did. But I didn't reply. Days passed. I buried myself in work, in routine, in pretending I was still the man I used to be. Alina noticed something was off. "Are you okay?" she asked one night, placing her hand gently on mine. I flinched. "Just tired," I lied. Amani messaged again. And again. Finally, 2 weeks later, she sent a photo. A pregnancy test. 2 lines. Positive. I stared at the screen until my vision blurred. She followed with a voice note, her voice cracking. "Zayan, I haven't told anyone. It's yours." I couldn't breathe. I drove around for hours that night. Ended up by the lake, where Alina and I had once watched fireworks. The irony burned. When I met Amani the next day, she looked nothing like the carefree intern I remembered. Her eyes were swollen. Her hands trembled. "I don't want to trap you," she whispered. "I just don't know what to do." I told her the truth. "Neither do I." She nodded. "I'm keeping it." I nodded too, slowly, like my head wasn't connected to the rest of me. Telling Alina was never part of the plan. I figured I'd support Amani silently, financially. Maybe distance myself emotionally. Pretend to be a distant donor, not a father. I know how cold that sounds, but at the time, it felt like the only way to keep my life from crumbling. But secrets have a way of slipping through the cracks. Alina found the messages. The photo. The voice note. I came home one evening to find my suitcase by the door and her wedding ring in a teacup. She was sitting on the floor, arms around her knees. "You touched her like you touched me," she said, eyes rimmed red. "Did you love her?" "No," I said quickly. Too quickly. Worse, she said. You didn't love her, and you still did it. She was right. It wasn't love. It wasn't even lust. It was escape. Weakness. A moment I didn't fight hard enough against. Alina didn't scream. She didn't throw anything. That hurt more. She just said, "Go be the man your child will one day ask about." And then she closed the door. I met Amani again a week later. She was in her 3rd month. Her face glowed, not with joy, but with determination. "I'm not asking you to marry me," she said. "I know you didn't plan this. I know you probably resent me." "I don't," I said softly. "I think I loved the idea of you," she continued. "The older man, the gentle one.
But we're not a love story, Zayan.
We're a lesson." Her words hit like a punch to the soul. "I'll raise this child. Alone if I have to. But you need to figure out who you are. Not just for me. For them." That was the day I realized the pregnancy wasn't the consequence. It was the mirror. It reflected every crack in me, every fracture I'd ignored. My failure to confront Alina. My fear of being vulnerable. My inability to say no when it mattered most. I started therapy. At first, just to deal with the guilt. But slowly, it became about understanding myself. I reached out to Alina, not to win her back, but to apologize, truly apologize. We met in a cafe one rainy afternoon. She looked thinner but stronger. "I don't hate you," she said. "But I can't come back from this. I see you differently now." "I understand," I whispered. "I hope you become the father he, or she, deserves." When I told her I was thinking of co-parenting, her eyes widened. "You're going to be part of the baby's life?" "I think I need to be," I replied. "Not just for them. For me." And maybe that was the first real act of responsibility I'd taken in years. The baby is due next month. A girl. We've agreed to name her Yusra, meaning ease or relief after hardship. Fitting somehow. Amani and I aren't together. We never will be. But we're learning how to be partners in parenthood. It's messy, uncomfortable, but honest. Alina moved to another city. She started her own firm. She seems happy, or at least on the path there. We still text on birthdays. I don't ask for more. And me? I've stopped trying to fix the past. Instead, I'm building something new.
Slowly. Carefully.
Like a man who knows the cost of carelessness. Some nights, I still see Alina's face in my dreams. Sometimes it's Amani's. But mostly now it's a child's voice, laughing, tugging at my sleeve, calling me Baba. This story isn't just about infidelity. It's about silence. About ignoring the fractures until they break something irreplaceable. It's about choices, made too fast, regretted too late. But it's also about second chances. The kind you give to someone small and innocent, who looks at you with eyes that don't yet know what you did, but will one day ask. And when she does, I won't lie. I'll say, "I made a mistake. But you were never one of them."